Hello, welcome to the Show Up Dad podcast, a podcast for tradesmen. As a father, I've experienced the void created by my absence. I know what it's like to chase success in the workplace while your family takes a back seat. I created this out of a need I saw as a journeyman lineman for 14 years. I love this trade and I want to give back to the community as much value as I can to share my pitfalls so other lineman dads don't have to experience what I have to overcome. This podcast is for hardworking fathers looking to level up their fathering skills and be more than just a paycheck or provider for the home. Today, I want to welcome Matt Moeller. Matt is from Divergent Alliance. Matt is an Air Force veteran, and he's passionate about providing the utility industry with tools and safety equipment. It is veteran-owned, and every proceed helps homeless vets. He just joined another group that he wants to talk about called Hearts for Hope. Matt has 14 years in the trade, and he was a journeyman lineman as well. Matt, thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Hey, Dave, I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, dude, it's just such an honor to finally get a hold of you and just to be able to get a chance to put you on here and just tell your story a little bit. I want to kick things off today by you just giving our listeners an overview of your story, personally and professionally, if you don't mind.
Yeah, when you reached out, I looked up your podcast and your website, and I really was amazed how much I related to kind of the missing fatherhood. I mean, a lot of dads I know that we're all alike. We kind of feel that our job is to work and provide that paycheck, and kind of researching you a little bit, I see that there's some missing components to that. Then it's definitely kind of made me think how I can improve. But I've definitely, since I've been doing what I do now, I've definitely been working on something like that with my kids. But basically, I served in the United States Air Force for a few years. I got out. I became a lineman on the contractors. I traveled the country, building power lines, chasing storms. I missed all the holidays while I was a contractor. I was recruited by a utility company in Chicago as a troubleshooter. Worked there for 7 years. Missed all the holidays there too. It was long hours, a lot of 16-hour days, rotating shifts. Missed my kids growing up. So I decided it's time to try to do something on my own. Decided to leave a nice paycheck and benefits and start my own company to try to be there for my family and give something back to my kids and just be able to be a better father.
Man, that's awesome to hear that, brother. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of us out there that have the same similar backgrounds as far as, the trade. You know what I mean? You got this passion to provide for your family. You get a great paycheck. You know what I mean? Better than most. And it's for you to leave that and start something else is just amazing, brother. And that's why I reached out to you, because not too many people want to do that. It takes a man with some big, to walk away from that paycheck, to walk away from the job that we love, to put our families first. You know what I mean? So that transitions into this topic that I want to speak on today. It's our role and the responsibilities that we have that are non-negotiable. Okay. Margin is a space that exists between our load and our limits. A margin is considered the edge. How important is it to know our limits, and how is it affecting others around us? Okay.
Yeah, I could tell you firsthand. I notice I'm somebody that pays attention to my surroundings, a lot of things that are going on around me. And, the harder I work, the more I think that I just need to get her done. I see my family kind of be affected by it. That even so when I was at the utility, I was gone all the time. When I was a contractor, I was gone all the time. And now that I start my company, I'm home a lot, right? Mm-hmm. However, I hear from the wife that you're home, but you're not here. I'm always working, right? So, with you saying knowing our limits and the margin of our limits, that's definitely a challenge. You think you're doing the right thing. Again, it always comes to providing, for your family. And you think the harder you work, the happier they're going to be. And the absence, even when you're there, you're still being absent doesn't count. So that's definitely something I've been trying to work on. And, when I was at the utility, I adopted my first kid. She's 6 years old now, but I missed 3 years of her life growing up, and it was kind of my vow. I'm not going to do that. I walked away from over $250,000 in pay to a lot less. Less than half of what I was doing, and I'm much happier today. Although, your own company, it's just nonstop work, and I kind of fall back into that. However, I make sure that I set time aside. I wake up early, take them to school. When I get off work, I pick them up from school and daycare and make sure I play games with them and put them to bed, and I do my work after. I've kind of learned to balance that way, and my kids are much happier, respect me much more. Does that answer?
Yeah. No, that's interesting that you said that. That's something I implement now too, being a father that's, running podcasts. And then I got a father engagement coaching and stuff like that. It's all about time blocking. If you actually sit there and write out and plan out your hours for the day, and you get rid of the hour or get rid of the stuff that's not important, right? And you start prioritizing, it's amazing how much time you free up.
Yeah, right on. I definitely noticed that.
Yeah.
Family notices that too.
Now you're talking a little bit about adopting children. You have 2 children, correct, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the wife and I, we always knew that, one day we would be interested in adopting, just to kind of help.
Yeah.
And give a better life to somebody. A lot of kids adopt or that need adoption. They're from low poverty, and their biological parents can't take care of them. And sometimes I don't really actually know what to add on that right there. But we went through in vitro for like 6 years. We went through in vitro 6 times. Definitely very hard on a woman. They go through a lot with that, very emotional, and their body goes through a ton that men really couldn't understand. But we went through that 6 times over 6 years. It was an emotional roller coaster. And we just decided, let's just let's give up on that, and let's just go straight to trying to adopt. So we found an adoption agency local and put a profile together, and very expensive, and I was on lineman wages, right? It's all out of pocket, but we wanted it. I wanted her to be a mom. That was her dream, to be a mother. So we ended up putting a profile together. Basically, this agency puts a brochure together of our me and her, our dogs, our house, our vacations we've been on, to be able to send to all these potential birth moms, right? To give them an option to choose, who they want their biological kid to go to, and connect with. So, we ended up getting connected with a nice girl she lived in Southern Illinois. Our kid was born in Indiana, but I got to cut the cord. It was such an amazing experience. We got to have our kid right when she was born, and then a few years later, actually probably about 4 years later, we did it again, just almost 2 years ago. Adopted another daughter in Alabama. We wanted 2 kids, and she's definitely they're both girls, beautiful girls. And it's definitely a roller coaster. I think both of them, after 6 months of us raising both of them, this is twice this happened, that we got threatened that the birth parents wanted to take them back, and That's a lot, man. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster, but anybody that's interested, adopting, having troubles having kids, biologically, we're always open to talking to everybody. There's a lot of the agency usually contacts us and says, hey, can you guys talk with these prospective adopted parents that are interested? And, it's definitely rewarding, but an emotional roller coaster going through.
Yeah, your story resonates with me so much, bro. And I told you this earlier. The gap between my first child and my second child was 7 years. And the reason being was because we lost two babies, and I was out of town when this was happening. And we went through in vitro. I mean, we had to really, really jump through hoops. In fact, the last time that we actually got pregnant, that was going to be the last because it wasn't working. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you're absolutely right. Just the emotions that our wives go through, that disappointment that they get when it fails, especially taking it almost full term and then it fails like that. You know what I mean? It's just so heartbreaking on them. And as husbands, our tendency is try to fix stuff, right? We're fixers, we're problem solvers.
Always.
When we can't problem solve that, we feel helpless. I know I did. I mean, there is nothing I could do to make the woman who I love have another child. And I mean, it was heartbreaking. So I feel with you, brother. I really do, man. And I just want to commend you for stepping up and adopting. I mean, that takes a man to do that. I mean, that's freaking awesome that you did that, dude, especially with as much fatherlessness that is happening right now. It's a pandemic. Everybody talks about the 2020 pandemic. Well, what about the pandemic that's hitting America right now with fatherlessness? And brother, I just want to say, dude, right on, bro. You are a true example of what a father should be. So
I appreciate that, Dave. I just want to point out, I could not do it without my wife. She's definitely the gatekeeper here. And, but the sixth time we went through in vitro, that was probably the hardest, because she got pregnant with it and it ended up turning into a miscarriage. I mean, we went through 3 rounds of this IUI where it's like a turkey baster, and then the 6 rounds of in vitro. And that last time there was actually hope, and then it just failed. And that was, I felt completely helpless. There was nothing I could say or do, just be there and try to hold her. And yeah, it was definitely a reality check in life.
No, yeah. And the crazy part is no amount of money will solve that. No. You know what I mean? One of the things that I heard you say is that you wanted to give your wife a child no matter what. And that's that's a servant leader. I mean, that's awesome, dude. Seriously. Just to hear that come out of you saying, man, no matter what the cost, I wanted to make my wife happy.
It was hard, man. We were trying like I had just started the utility, was on probation and everything with, her, that's kind of when we were starting the in vitro process. And she found a doctor outside my service territory. I was on my 90-day probation. And being a troubleman, that's a veteran job. I mean, that's, not just anybody can get that job.
No, that's actually kind of like a dream job, actually, really.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. But when you get that job, I mean, a lot of people are jealous of it, and everything's on you there, but I was on 90-day probation because I just started the company there. And she's saying, oh, we need book all these dates with the doctors, the fertility specialist. And I said, can we try to find somebody my territory? She was already emotional, and it just had to make it work, man. I don't know how we made it work, but we made it work. And I mean, we're almost 13 years going strong and married, so
right on.
Been through a lot.
Right on, brother. What do you think defines a father in your perspective, Matt?
That I think it's pretty simple that it's you being there. I mean,
Mm.
it actually, that's pretty generic what I just said.
Mm.
I think the real answer is how your kids feel about you.
Wow.
If your kids are happy with calling you dad,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing something right. When you hear, I get emotional with my kids, man. When you hear your kids just say, "Daddy, I love you," it's
It's powerful.
you're doing something right. And I'm sorry, man.
No, it's all good, brother. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here for other men to hear this. You're absolutely right. One of the things I heard from a previous guest on this podcast is it's not our jobs to make our children happy, right? But it is our job to provide the environment for them to experience that.
Yeah.
And that always resonates with me. And another thing I heard also on this podcast that really hit home, brother, was when he's like, "What are your kids going to say about you at your funeral? Is it going to be good?" I'm like, "Ooh, you know." But
My kid's gonna say she kicked my ass in Uno. We just actually just played with her before we came on the podcast before I just put her to bed, and yeah, she whooped my butt.
Yeah, it's so important to engage like that. Me and my daughter like to play speed. So we'll
Oh,
sit
she's
there.
smart.
Yeah, she gets violent, dude. She starts, you know what I mean? And it's just a father-daughter time to bond, you know what I mean? It's really
Yeah,
cool.
oh, yeah.
In your own words, can you shed some light on how big of a problem we are having with absent fathers today due to the traveling for work? And why do you think it occurs?
So, I traveled for years as a lineman, and I mean, I was young, still young, but not as young.
Mm-hmm.
My goal was chase all the storms, right? And I worked with a lot of linemen all over the country that were in the same boat, that we all feel the man has to provide. The bigger the paycheck, the happier your family's going to be. It was kind of like the basic mentality, you know. I mean, I could tell you just in this industry, if you're I would say almost 80% of linemen are missing their kids growing up. You definitely have your some of your linemen that just stay home, stay local. But yeah, it's. I think it's a fact that most men are alike.
Yeah.
We travel, provide, and when you travel, that's really where the money's at.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best way to provide, that we kind of think.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know many linemen that didn't miss their kids growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it definitely is a problem that, every lineman and most men realize that when it's too late that they missed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it.
Do you think it's because of we have that A personality, that alpha personality, to where we have to always be constantly doing something? So even when you work, like even for me, when I stopped traveling and I worked at the utility, just like what your wife was saying now, I wasn't home. I was busy. I mean, I was there, but I wasn't there. I was checked out. I wasn't engaged with my children. I was always, my head was somewhere else, whether it be.
Don't get me started on that, man. So when I was at the utility, I'm telling you, we were 16-hour days, rotating shifts, and I just had to have more. So I started getting into flipping houses, and I was doing the work myself. And so I would go to work for 16 hours, and my 8 hours off sleep time, my eat, shower, sleep time, I would go to these properties and start flipping them until I had to be back at work. That was I think that kind of falls right in line with what you're saying
Mm-hmm.
with the A personality, huh?
Yeah, no, definitely, dude. I mean,
It was my way of trying to. I always knew I wanted to start my own company,
mhm,
and I knew I couldn't just do it on a normal lineman salary.
mhm,
Um, so I knew I needed more, right? Because when you start a company, you have nothing. You're going to nothing.
mhm,
There's no leads lined up. There's typically, I mean, some people do, not me. Uh, so I just needed to increase that bank account and the savings to make sure that I wasn't going to fail them.
mhm,
We already had our first kid. When we kind of got trapped a little bit when I started flipping houses because I had bought a house in an auction, put our entire savings on. We didn't know we knew we applied for adopting, but they say it could take up to 2 years, you
mhm,
know? And I said, I'm going to try to flip a house first. And hopefully by the time we get chosen for adoption, that it was, I was going to be done with it and be able to be home. But if it wasn't for the utility kind of keeping me working and forcing me all the time,
mhm,
I put our entire savings into a property, a really kind of hole in the wall property.
mhm,
It took a lot of extra effort and time to flip,
mhm.
and that's what I did on my 8 hour time off. I never slept. I mean, I would take an hour nap here and there, and uh,
Mhm.
so that was kind of my life. But I needed to do that so that I knew when I pursued my dream of starting a company that I wasn't going to put my family on the street. That we had some kind of bankroll in the savings account
Mhm.
for us.
It's crazy how that drive, yeah, it's crazy how that drive to provide for our families, right? How that keeps us going. I mean, you're working 16-hour days, 8 hours work, the 8 hours you had off, you're working again, and you don't really stop to see how you're doing. I know I didn't. When I was working crazy hours, I was eating like crap. I was taking energy drinks. That's when I was chewing. I used to chew tobacco. I don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? But I'd chew. I was eating jerky or whatever I could chug down between structures and hardly drinking any water. And you're functioning nonstop 7 days a week like that.
Oh yeah,
And it takes a toll on your body. It really, really does.
yeah. A lot of people don't understand that. Nurses, they understand.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that you said that. I had a nurse who specialized in cardio health, and she was talking about all the effects that we cause to our heart and how much damage we do with caffeine and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And it really opened up my eyes, and I hope it opened up the eyes to a lot of these listeners who join this podcast. You know what I mean? Because one of the things is, if you're not around a hero, our kids think we're a hero, right? In their eyes, we're a hero.
oh yeah,
But if the hero isn't around, who's going to be their hero? Who's going to protect them? Who's going to walk them down that aisle? You know, we got to take
yeah.
care of
Nobody.
ourselves. Exactly. We got to take care of ourselves. We got to take care, and it starts by we got to take care of our families, and it starts by taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, they
Now,
say you can't take care of anybody until you can take care of yourself first.
exactly. Now, what are some practical steps fathers can take to improve their effectiveness in the household with their marriage and also with their children?
Oh man, I learned that one pretty quickly. Clean the toilet, empty the dishwasher.
All right.
Hey, those chores aren't your wives,
No.
particularly your chores. She's just helping you do them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point we all kind of learn. I mean, most spouses or wives will, at some point, just be direct that, hey, this isn't just me that's responsible for this. This is yours too, and you better start pitching in.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all been threatened a little bit by that.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't just sit home, work all day on the weekend. You gotta do your part. So I definitely been pitching in more. Don't want to lose what I have.
Yeah,
But it
that's
definitely makes her feel good. It's rewarding knowing that it makes them happy. Then I mean, it's hard to make women happy, right? But yeah, at least we could try.
yeah, exactly. And it's happiness starts with us helping them with the household chores, right?
That definitely is true. And she's always satisfied when I could
Mm.
take the kids out of the house and take them to go do something, burn some energy, take them to the park, the bouncy house places. And so definitely makes for a happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I learned is to give her a break. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like give her that time that she needs to feel pretty, to get dolled up, to be away from the kids. You
they
know,
need that.
they need it. Absolutely. And I never used to give her that because when I came home, I was so selfish. I wanted to spend time with my wife because I have needs as a man. And the kids wanted my attention. And it would just get chaotic. You know what I mean? When you're on the road like that and you come home, you're not used to your kids. So when they're clamoring for your attention, it's like, okay, calm down. I'll get to you in a minute. I want to see how your mom's doing. I need to talk with her and see how the month went or the week went or whatever. What do I need to do at the household? And it was just crazy. It was chaotic. You know what I mean? And
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, man.
and it's good to step back, reassess, and see where you went wrong and make the adjustments. You know what I mean? That way you don't
Yeah.
continue doing it.
My wife, she's a special ed teacher. That is, uh, everybody underestimates that position. That is a very difficult position.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Kids can get violent, they get dirty,
Yeah.
and she deals with that all day, but she's very passionate about it, right? She loves helping kids and she loves what she does, but it'll drain you out. And when she comes home and both the kids are, mommy, hold me,
Mm-hmm.
and it stresses her out. And, I pick up on that. So that's where I get to kind of be the hero dad and husband that says, hey, get over here, let's go play a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning. We went through a little spell that I was ignoring those signs.
Mm-hmm.
We all do. I think we all do. I did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had our rough roads, and I think now it's a lot more. I'm definitely. I pay attention to it a lot more, and it our relationship really has just been better than it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Since I've been able to spot those signs. And I mean, it really goes back to you don't have to work all the time. Work's going to be there later.
Yeah.
So work's always going to be there later. Your family might not be.
Exactly. Priorities. I like that. Now it's good that you have that awareness too. I mean, once you have that awareness, you can, like I said, make those adjustments, start putting your priorities in line and start putting what's important. Because we make time for what's important. We really do. When people say, oh, I don't have time. Well, you know what I mean? You make time for what is important. So you're going to make time. If your kids are high up on that list, your wife's high up on that list, you're going to do whatever it takes to prioritize. That being said, there are things you must do that you cannot delegate to anyone else. Why do you think fathers tend to lax when it comes to these duties?
Well, Dave, give me some specific duties there. Give me an example.
Well, just being engaged with their children.
Yeah, that's okay. So your question is, why do I think fathers lax on that?
Yeah. What keeps them from
Because
engaging? Sorry.
I feel like everything is based on our habits, right? And bad habits. You know, you see that in the workplace, you see that in your personal life. We all have bad habits, right? And you get used to them. It becomes your routine, and a bad routine, just like if you started smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad habit. You're in a routine that not only do you smoke, but it turns into, after everything that you do, after you eat, after you have a drink, after, you know, when you go on break at work, that you have to have a cigarette. It just falls into a routine. I think the same thing is when we aren't seeing those signs originally. It's a bad habit not seeing that sign, right? But we start following that routine when you see that your significant other is doing those tasks, and you almost feel free in the time being, right? Until you hear about it.
You're right.
When you hear about it, let me tell you,
It's
you
too
can
late.
feel that. It hurts.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I think we just kind of fall into that habit. We don't really fully have that true understanding of what we're not doing. We don't think that we're doing wrong, and it kind of all falls back to the initial, we're the provider, right?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes to, I think, back in the old days where men provide, women are the caregivers. You know, those times have changed, brother.
Yeah.
You know, you got a lot of women that are the providers now, you know, and they should be. You know, I mean, we're all pretty equal now, and if both of you, I mean, if both of you are working, there's not one provider. You got two providers that you need to find some balance. You know, both of you need to do your part, and it's all about the balance there. But yeah, I think it's just kind of, some people are still accustomed to the old days that I'm the provider, you know, she's the caregiver, and those days are gone, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They're definitely are out the door. I like what you said though about habits. Some of the things I try to get fathers to help them engage is developing keystone habits, right? Now, a keystone habit is, say, for instance, you start working out. That's a positive keystone habit. What happens when you work out? You tend to start eating better, right? You start being more aware of your health. You stop smoking, perhaps, or chewing or drinking and stuff like that. So there's a cascading effect that happens from these keystone habits. Now, the same holds true for bad habits. Okay. So in this case, the bad habits would be, she's got this, you know, I worked all week. I just want to relax. She can take care of this. You know, I know for me, I'd come home, and instead of helping her with the house, right, I'd start nitpicking. Why is the house dirty? What the heck did you do all week?
Oh, you're gonna be in trouble, man.
Oh, dude.
That is not going to go good. I can tell you that.
No.
First-hand experience.
Oh, no. You know what I mean? And it doesn't go over good at all. And it's just like, she used to call it work mode for me. She like, you know, you need to take your hat off and leave it at the door, because we're not linemen here. You don't talk to us like that. You know what I mean? Don't come back. You're in work mode. You're delegating. You know, I'd be all, wasted moves. You know what I mean? And I had to learn to turn that off and not be like that when I was at the house with my family, because I was just creating a very toxic environment, you know. But I like what you said about the keystone habits and developing them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really a big too. And I think, like you said, fathers go back to what they know. As fathers, you know, we don't get a blueprint at all. We don't know how to father. You know, we tend to go back to what we were taught as children, and we think it's okay because it worked. You know what I mean? We're still alive, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I don't know how though.
I don't know how either, to be quite honest. You know, I was
We just don't want our kids to do the same thing.
Exactly.
We don't want them to repeat the past.
Right. But no, I think it's pretty awesome that you're able to recognize that. What are biggest mistakes fathers make that are hard to recover from, do you think?
Oh man, I would father or husband? Which one?
Both.
Oh, on the road. I think that one can go without saying. When you're on the road, getting a little lonely, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the holidays, man. You miss those holidays, guess what? Those are some of the most exciting times that you see how happy your kids are. I mean, think about Christmas, how excited they are just to open up a present. And you don't ever get that moment back.
No.
I'm telling you, man, even though I haven't been home for the holidays 14 years, I still miss the years in my kids' life, right? That I can't go back to that, you know. And a lot of it wasn't my choice, you know. Some of it was with trying to prevent other people being forced at work. I volunteered because I figured my kids were young and theirs were a little older. I wanted them to not miss anymore. I figured my kids still got many years that I could see. You know, no good deed goes unpunished, though, right? So even though I did a good deed, I still miss my kids, you know, on the holidays. So that's a regret that I have, I could tell you.
Yeah, that's I agree with you on.
What regret you have, Dave?
My regret would be that the same thing, you know, just putting my family second.
Yeah.
Not listening to their needs, treating them as an object.
You know, and it's not even always just listening to the needs. It's trying to just recognize it without anything being said, right? Just trying to feel the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely ignored the vibe many times. You know, I wish I didn't. I think things would have went a lot different today, but you know, we are where we are and we move forward from that and try not to let that happen and do our best to teach our kids really what's important in life, you know, and it's family.
Yeah, that's such a powerful lesson that we teach them too. You know what I mean? When we're sending them mixed message and we're telling them, oh, don't be a workaholic, but then they see their daddy out there giving her hell. You know what I mean? We're sending a mixed message to them. I mean, and no one's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. So I do that all the time. I'll tell my kids, stay off a device, right? And my daughter will call me out on it. And she'll be like, well, you're on yours. It's like, duh. You know what I mean? We definitely set the example for them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they are who we are.
I tend to lean on this. A bad moment isn't a bad life. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
So we can't let that define us. You know what I mean?
Right.
And another thing too that I like to say is that our biggest commodity is emotional support for both our wife and our children. We need to, and in order to do that is we need to be there. We need to be present for them, you know?
Right on.
John Maxwell talks about leadership, right? He's a real big advocate for leadership. And he says that all leadership is influence. But in order to have that influence, you need to have time with the person. So, for instance, boys and girls are different. You have girls. So for me, my daughter, I need to have that relationship with her before I can start setting boundaries for her. I tried the other way and it don't work. I need to have that relationship. She needs to know that I'm there for her. I care for her. I want to listen to her. She counts, you know, especially when she's asking all kinds of questions. I used to shut her up. You know, I'd be like, talk to me later. I'm busy right now. I'm busy. Nothing crushes a daughter's spirit more than doing that.
Yeah, I've been there.
So I think once we start becoming aware of these habits, and that's why we have this podcast, is just to be able to be real, talk like men. Because I mean, I know you probably have the same sentiments like I do. I mean, I think linemen are the top of the food chain, honestly.
Oh yeah.
It takes a special man to be able to do what we do.
It does, brother.
You know, I wanted to ask you, Matt, have you ever experienced anxiety? Did you get that anxiety after being home? And how did you overcome it? Like not knowing what to do, like twiddling your thumbs and stuff like that?
We went through, so before we had kids,
Mm-hmm.
when I was on the road, I would be gone for, say, like a week at a time, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think we went through, man, I had to file bankruptcy in '09 and lost everything. But as soon as we got married, I had to go on the road. And so I got a line job down in Kentucky. It was Monday through Friday. So I drive out on Sunday night at 1 a.m. I leave, show up by 6:30, for ready to work.
Mm-hmm.
Then Friday at 5:30, I'd start heading home. I get home at about 11, and my wife got so used to being alone that she created her own routine. I would walk in the door, and the dogs would give me a better welcoming than she did. And it bothered me. But I was pretty much interfering with her new routine,
Mm-hmm.
and that is hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Same kind of went with ComEd. So with anxiety, I was very anxious with all that.
Mm-hmm.
I just said the power company, and I didn't want to, but in Chicago, right? When I worked there, you work. They always want to know, when are you going to be home? I got to pick up the kids. I'm going to make dinner. What time are you going to be home? Oh, I'm getting off in an hour. Okay, I'll have dinner ready. You start heading home, and guess what? That phone rings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, come right back, man. And that's the worst feeling, to have to pick up the phone and tell your wife, you got to go back to work. You ain't coming home. She just made dinner, and jumped through hoops to make sure the house was ready, clean, the dinner's made. And it was always the case, man. And, even when you got plans, I'll be home by 3 or 3:30. Nope, I got to turn back around. I'm being forced. They really don't understand. I mean, nobody understands the way that the people that are actually being forced to do that stuff understands.
Yeah.
It's hard to share with anybody because people just don't typically understand that kind of life.
No.
Your kids don't understand, Daddy, why you always at work? I'm like, you're not even old enough to be able to say that yet. It's like, are you really know that? I ended up writing a song for my kid because I missed her life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to play it for every night and it was kind of our thing that she knew the words. She played me that song. It was kind of how we started kind of reintroducing our relationship. And it's kind of messed up to say, but I was never around, man. I was, whether I wanted to be or not, the days I wanted to be, I couldn't, the days that I wanted to keep working and make a bigger paycheck, I volunteered to stay working. You don't get that time back. That's the most precious moment, like most precious time. When you got young kids, you got to be there.
Man, just you talking about that just brought back memories, dude, of leaving. Would be celebrating a Thanksgiving or whatever. And I also worked at a utility, and I also worked at a co-op. And I remember getting called Thanksgiving Day to drive 4 hours away to go change out a transformer in a blizzard off your tools. And
all the tools, dude. Huh?
Yeah, dude. And it was like, are you kidding me? But it needed to be done. And, my wife was just like, okay, I guess I'll take care of the gas. When are you going to come back? And you don't know when you're going to come back because you never know. You go out there, you carry, at co-ops, you usually carry a little 10 kV or whatever in the back of your truck because that's normally what they have. You know what I mean? Maybe a cutout, an arm, whatever. We get out there and, they don't have any kind of schematics like they do at a bigger utility or anything like that. So you don't know what you're going to get. You get out there and it's a bigger can. So now you got to drive 2.5 hours back because no one's on call. So you can't even call them to bring you and meet you halfway a
Oh, yeah.
25 kV. So now you're going all the way back. You're having a 25 kV, everything you need, and you go out there and you know, you've been there. You know what I mean? But people, the moral of the story is people don't really understand what the life of a lineman is.
No.
It's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of away time from your family.
Yeah, that movie, Life on the Line with John Travolta didn't really do justice.
No, I mean, that dude, that was I mean, I think the best part I liked out of that movie is when all the line hands stood up when that guy was talking crap at the bar.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's
That was the
actually like the
best.
most real thing that happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That definitely will happen. We could talk crap about each other all day long. I mean, that whole story about your reputation will hit here faster than your tools will. That's true. But when it comes down to standing together with your brothers and stuff like that, I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have your back against someone else. You know what I mean? So,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was really cool in that movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
Other than that, you know, why did he, when he threw himself across the freaking bus, you know what I mean? It's like, dude.
You know who really doesn't understand the trade when the people actually like that movie.
Mm-hmm.
They know nothing about the trade.
No, not at all.
People live through it and are like, you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go throw myself across the bus. Hello, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, dude, grab a logging chain or something, dude. My gosh, you know what I mean? When I worked at the co-op, I actually freaked out because that's how they tested a line. You know, it's single phase, right?
Oh yeah.
And you have a blade open or whatever, you know what I mean? And they didn't have high voltage testers.
You fuzz it, dude.
Yeah, fuzz it with a wrench, right? But it's 4 kV.
Yeah.
4 kV is different, you know what I mean? And that's how they tested shit is, oh, it's dead. We fuzzed it. And then they throw a logging chain around it to ground it.
Right.
And one of the guys, he actually came in contact with, I don't know what he did. I guess he was off the back of a truck. You know how co-op poles are only like 30, 35 feet tall, you know, the old poles.
Yeah, all rural and right off the road, everything's bucket accessible.
Yeah, so he's on the back of the truck and he throws this chain to ground the line, and somehow, some way he came in contact with it. It was still live, and it freaking burnt him bad. I mean, he lost his they had to amputate his knee about 3 inches above his knee down. And then he wound up he succumbed from the injuries. You know what I mean? His body just couldn't handle.
Oh, God bless him, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty awful. But those are some of the things we deal with being linemen. You know what I mean? The risks that we take to provide for our families. You know what I mean?
Man, I couldn't tell you how many explosions I had in classes. I had working by yourself on the midnights. Widowmakers. There's arresters blowing on you when you're switching, and draw some nice arcs.
Oh yeah,
lights up the sky.
Exactly, especially the PMH gears. I hate them damn things, man. And when those go to hell, they go to hell quick. I mean, I've never seen a light that bright. You know. And then that awful sound, dude. Blah, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh God. I don't even tell my wife half the stuff that goes on. I don't want to worry her. You know what I mean? Well, I don't have to do it now. So, but a lot of crazy times on the line, man.
Oh yeah.
How important do you think it is for fathers to take a break and recharge to be better for the family? And what do you do?
Well, I mean, I guess when you say take a break and recharge, you mean to kind of just sit and think about, revisit what they're doing with their family, what their approach is, you know, how much time they're spending to just change their ways. Is that what you're kind of asking?
Yeah, just to like self-assess and just get away and just kind of, like for me, I wake up early in the morning and I read the Bible. I need to. And that's me. You know what I mean?
Good.
I have to. Otherwise, I'll be a damn mess.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you I had to quite a few times try to recharge.
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, back to what I was saying, you think you're doing the right thing, providing, right? You're working, and being a lineman, man, that beats you down. You
Mm.
know, it, it helps if you got good guys on the crew, good women now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I definitely had to take many times to rethink what the hell am I doing, with my family. I was at risk of losing them multiple times, and really it comes down to, am I doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? And no, I wasn't, you know, I mean, I can't predict the future, what is going to happen moving forward still, but I know that I'm definitely putting the effort in today that I never did before. I try to understand her more and understand my kids more, and I kind of learn from other people. I got a lot of buddies that been through divorce, absent fathers, and even an absent mother is sad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel kids, they need both. Your kids deserve both,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's very important. It's very critical to your kids being the best that they can be, to for you to physically and mentally be there. You could physically be there, but not mentally be there. And I kept falling into that trap a lot. And I mean, even recently,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough to run a business, and everything's relying on you, and you tend to just, if I don't do this, we're gonna end up on the street. Always worrying about tomorrow, and
Mm-hmm.
it comes a point that you can't let your kids feel that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't. So I feel like I've been doing a decent job of trying to separate it.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions are happier. The seems like everybody's happier when I walk in the door now.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know,
You're
like that.
celebrated. Yeah. Definitely. That's one of the things I always said is you go, you work, you provide, you come home, and you want to be celebrated. You want everybody to be like, "Oh, daddy's home, our hero." And
Yeah,
when you're not getting that, it's almost like, well, when are you going back to work? Just like you said earlier about your wife, she had her own patterns, her own routines because you're gone so much. My wife always likened it to dating me. You know what I mean? She always says,
yeah.
I'm dating my husband. I'm raising my children without a husband
Or roommates.
or roommates. Exactly. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you, brother, is do you view your self-worth differently since you're out of your tools? Like, I know as men, we tend to want to identify with our jobs. I'm a journeyman lineman, blah, blah, you know what I mean? Whatever, you know what I mean?
You're
But,
right on.
right, you know what I'm saying? But now, is it hard? Do you have a struggle with it now that you're out of your hooks? I mean, I know for me, I'm like, man, this job's coming up. Or I see some kid climbing and he's all ate up, and I'm just like, man, I should throw all my damn tools. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I sometimes struggle with that. I honestly do.
Yeah. So I mean, just so you know, I mean, I still carry my ticket, my lineman ticket. I pay my dues.
Yep.
We're actually the only IBW distributor in the country. I don't have my wallet on me. I got my sweats on, but
Hey,
I got
golden
mine too.
ticket.
Mine's paid through October, by the way, and it's laminated.
Right
Uh,
on.
but yeah, when probably I want to say a year and a half ago, running this company, one of my customers called me up and said, "Hey, you got your ticket? You want to go on Storm?" I'm like, you know what? Hell
Mhm.
yeah. I jumped on Storm, made a quick few thousand, and I definitely missed it, man.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a whole different lifestyle. But I mean, we're in the process of trying to start a line construction company too. I got a lot of buddies in the industry, call me up. Hey, when you guys getting going? I'm like, I'm gonna drag up, come over by you.
Hmm.
So I'm still heavily involved. I still got my tools hanging up in the garage.
Mhm.
You know, every storm hits, usually I throw them in the back of the pickup just in case, because I got that ticket still, right?
Yep.
But yeah, now instead of wearing the tools, I'm able to take care of everybody in tools now.
Mm.
That's what we supply to is all the linemen,
Mm-hmm.
and all the contractors and utilities. The big thing we do is I have a few IBW groundmen that service our grounds. Nobody in the country, there's not one distributor in the country has union workforce testing, repairing protective grounds and jumpers and custom building them. You know, the
Wow.
margin's not there, but I believe in the brotherhood, man. They took care of me and I want to take care of them.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
vow to go union on it. And I mean, we're doing pretty well.
Hmm.
It's a challenge every day, but I mean, like I said, I make a fraction of what I did at the utility, but brother, I got my time back.
Dude, and
I,
you can't
my
buy that
time,
time. Mm-hmm.
I get to put it wherever I do, and you better believe I give it to my family, my kids.
Mm. That's
When
awesome.
I'm not at work, but at least it's a normal work day now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still got to travel, but they understand that when I got to travel, I put in that extra time beforehand, and I know ahead of time so I could plan for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm telling you, the money ain't shit if you don't have your time.
Yep. Hmm. I like that you said that. Brother, one of the questions that was asked to me about you was that you started a successful business, correct?
Mhm.
Any tips for the audience who might want to make that transition out of their tools to into diving into their own business to be an entrepreneur coming out of the line trade?
I tell you what, man, I had as much ego as some people have. Lineman, I had an ego being a lineman, thinking I knew, right? You can't do it alone.
No.
You need good people you trust. I got a couple of partners. One guy, one partner of mine started this company with me, John Masterson. He was a dispatcher at the utility. I was a troubleman, so he was the one to sign me the tickets. He was the only dispatcher I trusted. I was not a fan of dispatchers. I didn't like anybody telling me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I learned my job well. I went home on my own time, researched it. Then that troubleman job, I didn't know if I should have had it or not. It was such a veteran job,
Mm-hmm.
But me and him started this company, and I couldn't do it without a good partner in it. That somebody's got your back, good advisors. But if there's a will, there's a way, man. I went to left that company for nothing. I no leads on anything. You just keep pushing, and you got to feel that there ain't nothing to go back to. Even though we know we got tickets,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can go be a lineman, jump on a truck anywhere. I went at it with a different mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, my family was really that supportive of me wanting to do that. They were comfortable with where we were, financially. And like I said, me and the wife already filed bankruptcy. Been through that where we lost everything. I've lost everything, dude. And I was not gonna let that happen again. And I pretty much gave her a time frame, 6 months. If we don't make any money, uh, going back to being a lineman, going back in my tools. And 6 months passed, still didn't make no money. I kept at it, man. I said, look, just give me another month.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a fisherman, right? Last cast, just one more cast.
One more.
And finally we did it, dude. We did we did like $7 million this last year in revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's it had to be one of the top fastest growing veteran companies in the country, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Going from 750,000 to 7 million in 1 year, so, but you got to have good people that have your back, that you trust. I'll go to hell for my partner, John Masterson, man. He's going to watch this and he's be like, that fucking ass fucking said my name. Yeah, that's my guy, dude. I don't know how. He was a dispatcher. I was a troubleman, and that's how we started this journey. And yeah, you got to have passion. You got to want it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
A good lineman, you know, So a lot of people make linemen, right? But the good linemen are the linemen that want it and not just for the money.
Yeah. The money will come.
Anything for the money, you're not going to be good at it. You're not going to be respected. You're not going to feel that you achieved anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, I make a fraction of what I did as a lineman, and I feel like I achieved the world.
Mm.
You know, I'm happy. You know, I'm stressed if I'm not stressed, I'm stressed, right? But I'm happy. I am genuinely happy.
Man, that's
I love people.
That's so awesome you said that, bro. And that's such a big encouragement because there's a lot of linemen out there that are so talented, from knife makers to whatever, creating new sockets, new tools. You know what I mean? Linemen are creative, dude. And a lot of them don't know how to expand off that to make it grow. They don't have a vision for it. You know what I mean? And I think fear holds them back a lot of times because they have that constant paycheck and they know having that ticket that, hey, you know, this is my safety. I can go back to this. I know I do. You know what I mean? It's like, I got my ticket. If anything happens, I can go, I'll have a job tomorrow. You know what I mean? And
yeah, that mentality is no good.
It isn't. I agree with you 100%. You got to be committed, 100% committed to what you're doing. And you got to have that vision to say, hey, my family's coming first. I'm putting my family first, and let's do this. I'm going to go forward and make it happen.
You know, I mean, I almost lost my family over this company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I got to give it to my partner, man, John Masterson, who he refuses. He stepped up to the plate and refused to let me kind of be a slave to the company. Mm-hmm. You know, he took over a lot of responsibility roles I was doing to make sure I could be home more with the family. Mm. And yeah, I'm just genuinely happy. Mm. You know, if I can give it any advice, if somebody really wants to start a business, right, you got to know how to grind. You got to have that dedication. Mm-hmm. But you don't need a ton of money. I didn't have $1 million, right? A lot of people get investors. I didn't have that. You got to have a little money, bring in some help so that they can do some administrative role while you're out grinding, going to find customers with. If you can't learn to be a salesperson, you know, I mean, I read while we were pre-revenue, while I was making no money, I didn't know anything about business, nothing. I bought a bunch of books. I bought How to Be a Leader, How to Have a Partner in a Business, How to Do Finances, How to Do Sales, How to Lead People, you know, how to have employees. I read all these books, man. I hate reading. I was a lineman, dude. Not a college graduate who could read books. Mm-hmm. I'm a lineman. But when you find something that you're passionate about, you know, I had to do it because I wasn't going to put my family on the street by the choice that I made to walk away from a very wealthy position, paycheck and benefits, you know. Mm-hmm. So just be committed and don't be afraid to use your relationships and connections, people you know, for advice. Nobody's going to do anything for you. If you don't pick up that phone and call somebody, it ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to call you. Mm. You know, even COVID hit, and I thought we were going to be laying everybody off, and it was either send all the people that left their jobs to come here. You know, they took the risk to come here, believed in John and I, and it's either tell them, hey, you guys are done, you know, go on unemployment, possibly file bankruptcy, or make something freaking happen, dude. And we made something happen.
Wow. Man, that's awesome to hear that, especially during COVID. You know what I mean? That you have a veteran-owned company that's just thriving, and it's through your guys' dedication and no quit attitude. That's good to see, you know, and I attribute that to just being a lineman. You know what I mean? Having that no quit attitude, what it takes, that alpha personality that we carry. And brother, I thank you for coming on this podcast, you know what I mean? And just being able to share your story, your message, and like I always tell everybody, sometimes your mess is your message. And I thank you for coming on here and just being a guest and sharing that with us. Matt, can you, if someone wants to get a hold of you and talk to you, can you share with the audience how they can get a hold of you, brother?
Yeah, if they're on social media, we have a very good marketing team that they'll respond. They can go to our website, divergentalliance.com, submit a form. I'm very big on LinkedIn. That's very big on the network on LinkedIn and connecting with people, and they can reach out to me on there. Yeah, and we have our company phone number on the website. They can just ask for me and leave a message, and probably John Martinez will answer the phone, and I'll definitely get back to them. But my passion in life is helping people be able to succeed. I love giving opportunities. Honestly, I probably could have made $1 million last year, and I chose not to. I chose to provide opportunities. And barely made $100,000. And we know as a lineman, it's easy to make $100,000. We did $7 million, right? President of the company, I hired probably 7 new people to provide a new opportunity to contributed a lot of money. And I'm just so appreciative of my time being back. It's not about the money. Somebody give me $5 million and I'm going to show somebody else that opportunity, because I couldn't be happier. So, I'm always available to talk to anybody. That's what I love doing. That's what I'm passionate about in life. Somebody wants to try to start a business. If somebody just wants to talk and shoot the shit, that's who I am.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, brother. Well, thank you for your time, and man, just thank you, bro. It was awesome. It was awesome for you to open up and be so authentic and just be able to share with us, our audience, you know what I mean? Who I know are going to get a tremendous amount of information from this and be able to utilize it. You know what I mean? So thanks, brother.
I appreciate it. I'm glad. Feel pretty blessed you found us. I think on Instagram, and I appreciate you giving me the honor of being on here.
Man, when I saw your deal, I was like, I know that guy's a hand. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, brother. Well, thank you and have a good night, brother.
You too, man. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.